Today I'm going to talk about my favorite game mechanism in Burning Suns. This is a game from Kickstarter from a couple years ago that I just got my copy very recently, and I played it a couple days ago, and it has a mechanism in it that is brilliant, and I'm really excited to talk about it because I think this is a mechanism that it may already be in another game, and if it isn't, it can easily be implemented into a number of other games. It's really, really cool. So it's really simple, actually. In Burning Suns, so I love innovative action selection systems that aren't an action checklist, and this game does it really well. So if you have a game with an action checklist, watch this video and you'll get how to do it in a creative way. So this is like a big space exploration game. And plenty of combat and a little bit of harvesting resources, but kind of like a typical 4X space game. But at the beginning of, or during each round, each player is using their characters as workers to select different actions. And you're doing so on these action sheets. So here's one that has 3 different actions you can choose from, and if you look really close, you can see, I guess you can see it on Barrage pretty easily. There are 3 spots per workers. We only played a 3-player game, so we didn't use the middle slot. You can only use the outside too. And you can see the tiny little arrows to show the order. So say this is the first card on the board. You'd activate all the workers from left to right, top to bottom on this tile, and then you'd move on to the next tile, and then the next one, and then the next one. These tiles are reordered each round. So in every round of the game, these are going to come out in a very different order. And in a game, in any game that's going to make a difference, but in this game, any game with interaction, it actually makes a huge amount of difference. Because say this battle card comes up first. You have to move before you go into battle. So you'll have to either have planned to go into battle and move the previous round, because the explore tile, or the jump tile, that's where you move. If that comes up after battle, then you don't get a chance to move before you battle that round. So you kind of have to plan ahead in that way. Or maybe there's a lot that kind of revolve around that movement, like the timing of when you move. There's construction, there's diplomacy, there are all these different actions. And the order that they happen in really matters and adds a ton of variability and variety to the game, even within each game, but I can see that adding to from game to game as well. So I love, what it basically is a worker placement game, at least this part of the game, where you know all the actions. It's not like a variable card deck where different actions could come up. You know all the actions that are in the game. They just happen, they're activated in a different order each round. So it changes the value proposition of them, it changes your strategy. It's just really, really interesting. The one thing I was thinking about as I played this, because if you watch these videos, you know that I generally try to design away from using rounds in games. I like a continuous flow of play where I take a turn, you take a turn, so on until the game is over. And I've been trying to think of a way to do that with this system. And I think it may involve some element of, like, maybe there's actually an action that says reorder or something. And when you do that, you get to take one of these and move it to a different spot, like maybe wedge it in between 2 of the other ones, or put it at the end. Probably wedge it in between, because you wouldn't want to just keep the same flow of actions every round. It may not work with a roundless game, but in a game with rounds and worker placement, this is brilliant. Yeah, it works so well. It makes the decisions of where you place your workers so interesting, and it just adds to both the tactical play and the strategic play, kind of your long-term decisions, because you have to, even though you don't know in the next round when, like, the explore tile will come up, you'll be thinking about it. You might be planning contingencies around the fact that it might come up later than you hope the next round. Same with the attack tile or the activate tile. And actually, this one's pretty interesting too. The mission tile is it's a wild action space. So this lets you do any of the other actions, but to get it, there's an element of chance to it. So you have to basically do a skill test to see if you can even go on the mission. And if you pass the skill test, then you can take any other action. So even though it's a catch-all, there's some risk to it. You may not do anything there. Really, really interesting mechanism. I'd love to hear your thoughts if you've played Burning Suns, or if you've played a game that has a similar mechanism to this, I'd love to hear about it in the comments. Thanks.